I know it looks like we're guardians of the forest right now, but my forest nymph friend, Johnny Millennium, has just popped out like a little forest elf. We're going to talk about a science fiction movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. What'd you think, my friend?
To talk about Volume 2, we have to talk about Volume 1.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on the first movie?
I thought it was really good, little crowded with new character introductions, and I was a little let down by the villain. So I left feeling like it was really solid, but it wasn't that 9. I gave, I think, an 8.5 back in the day. How about yourself?
Yeah, I gave the movie like a 7.5, 8. You know, it was a fun popcorn movie.
Yeah.
It was a good introduction movie, but that's about it. We got to learn the characters at the very end, and I don't know, I wasn't totally taken back by it, but...
Yeah, that was the first movie. The sequel, we didn't need to learn these characters. We know them. They've been in popular culture, consciousness since 2014. And of course, they're all big movie stars. Now, what'd you think of the sequel?
I love this one. I thought we got to delve into the characters a little bit more. We got right into a brand new story. I love the universe, and quite literally the universe.
Yeah.
All the different aliens there, all the different sets, monsters, robots. Fantastic.
Yeah, I think what happened is the first movie blew beyond expectations. It was a big success, and Marvel, I think is going to be known in film history as just this unbelievable achievement, they are successfully going from movie to movie and making them each hits and big blockbusters.
And it was a gamble.
And this
was a gamble.
Very big gamble, and nobody really knew, except for the diehard Marvel fans out there, who these characters were. Yeah. And so all of a sudden we were introduced to this new cavalcade of individuals, and the world kind of fell in love with Guardians of the Galaxy. It became a smash hit, and then there's obviously cartoons, and you're starting to see Guardians pop up in video games and stuff like that. And I think when that movie became so successful, the sequel was greenlit right away, but also the dump trucks full of money pulled up.
Oh yes, and there's a lot of money in this movie.
Yeah, and so all of the and I remember having these issues and complaints with it. It looked a little bit green screeny and cheap, and some of the makeup effects looked like buckets of paint were just poured on actors. And I remember thinking like some of these characters could have appeared in any kind of classic kitschy Ed Wood science fiction movie, but not anymore. Now they have tentacles and they have cool costumes and the CG embellishments, even Nebula's, sort of robotic skin makeup effects are fantastic, man.
Yeah,
and Yondu looks better. Everybody looks cooler and more vicious and realized and incredible.
And that's the thing, we have to talk about the visual look of it. It's CG, and a lot of CG movies, I'm like, oh, you can tell it's CG.
Yeah.
I know this is CG, but it looks so good, it doesn't matter. And we saw this in 3D.
Yeah.
And a lot of movies I see in 3D, I'm a little let down by. I'm like, okay, that's a nice conversion. But this movie in 3D was incredible looking. I'm going to say something. You got to see this in 3D.
Well,
100%.
the theater, we saw it in an AVX theater.
Yes,
and
beautiful.
I think that made the difference, because I normally don't see 3D movies that I really kind of tolerate, let alone enjoy. But the subject matter is perfect for 3D. There are moments where characters...
They use the 3D
beautiful
effect.
Yeah, a character, we're not spoiling anything in this review, but there's a character that dies and is burned and cremated, and the ashes go through and into space, and they come towards you in 3D, and it's just gorgeous, and fireworks.
Somebody's death is awesome.
Well, it was, though. It was a beautiful moment, sort of signified by, the emotional impact of the moment, as well as all of this, beautiful color and light and sort of visual, sort of painterly kind of artwork on display. And that is the other thing about this movie, is that it is a work of art, and you can see the artistry of the CG artists and the visual effects artists all the way through, but it only would work if we had that emotional kind of connection to these characters.
And we certainly have that in this one. We delve so deep into these characters. Everybody has a character arc that is very fulfilling and very awesome, and you get to learn more about these characters. Rocket is one of my favorite characters. I first saw him in 1985, and I was like, this is awesome, Rocket Raccoon. And then when I found out he's in Guardians of the Galaxy and this whole existed, I just fell in love with it. And the story of this one is pretty good. It's a bit cheeseball-y. We know where it's going to go. There's no real surprises. But it's fun.
If you've seen the trailers and you've seen Kurt Russell is in this movie, you kind of can you can connect the stuff. I love him too. I love his scenes with Chris Pratt. I love the flashback scenes that we get. We're kind of trying to get the story of where Star-Lord comes from in this movie. I loved all that, but I also love the Epiphanies, flashback bits where we see Star-Lord with other characters in these quick little brief moments, and they're so beautifully rendered. They're so like little panels of comic book history being represented on screen.
Yeah, we can't give spoilers.
Yes.
There's so much. There's even cameos out of it we can't even talk about that will blow you away. I was shocked.
Yes, yeah, and I think some of the actors, the big name actors, are starting to be revealed in there, and there was a little bit of squandering with some of these big name actors. I felt like, again, we are still dealing with more introductions, but I think the core characters that we got to know, we get to fall in love with in this, and I'm talking Nebula, and I'm talking Yondu, in addition to all the Guardians characters. Baby Groot is cute, super effective on screen. We don't really kind of get to know that character or him much more.
What are you talking about? He is Groot. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, he is Groot. Yeah, he is super fun to watch, but I don't think he resonates, with an emotional impact, other than the fact that you want to protect him. He's a baby, so everybody's like going overtime. And, the opening sequence in this thing where Baby Groot is just oblivious to this enormous space battle that's going on around him.
It's awesome.
It's so charming.
And that's the other thing to talk about, the humor. There's so much humor in here, and smart humor.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, a lot of times some of these gags fall short on me, but none of them fell short on me.
No, you're laughing the whole way through, and I thought that was wonderful and incredibly entertaining, but it also undermines a little bit of the stakes. You don't really feel like there's really that much jeopardy. This team is so sassy and sarcastic and funny that they seem to be able to skirt through anything.
They're laughing through everything.
And the scale of what they're challenged with is probably one of the most epic and monstrous enemies ever represented on screen ever.
Yes.
But you're still giggling through all of it.
You're laughing, yeah.
And that's great, but it makes you feel like nobody's really going to get hurt here.
Yeah, that's for sure. The movie doesn't take itself too seriously.
Never.
All through the end credits, I was laughing right to the last second. No spoilers there. Some really cool ending bits. We won't say anything there either at all, but I really like this movie a lot more than what I should have, I think.
I love this movie, and I think so much of it is Guardians 1 and 2 now are so eminently rewatchable. There's so many details. There's so much, fetishistic kind of, overwork to build up every corner of these spaceships and these universes and these cities, and it's just going to be so fun to keep re-exploring these things with repeat viewings. And I feel like, just like Empire Strikes Back, which is kind of a middle piece, right? It wasn't really the full fleshed out kind of. It can never be when you're in a sequel. You're not having to really introduce stuff. You're embellishing a little bit.
Creating the world.
Yeah, and I feel like this exists like that as well. But I enjoyed myself more because of that familiarity. And I was really impressed with
I was taken back in time. All of a sudden, I went back to like being a 7-year-old, enjoying something and saying, I want to get some Guardians of the Galaxy action figures after that. That's how much I had a lot of fun. And that's the thing. This movie's just a lot of fun. This is not deep stuff. It's not going to change your life, and it's not meant to change your life.
No, and I love that James Gunn is kind of this weirdo, avant-garde indie filmmaker, and he imbues this thing with music choices and with visual sort of stylistic choices that give it kind of like this hippie glow, Like there's Cat Stevens music in this movie.
George Harrison music in it.
And I love that. And I love like the kitschy 80s references. I love that Kurt Russell is in this movie.
And the cameos that we can't talk about. They're so good. They're really funny.
Yeah, this is a terrific movie. What are you going to give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
Definitely a 9 out of 10 for me.
9 from me as well. Go see this one. Summer has begun. Hey, thanks for checking out that video on our EPN channel. It's just one small part of the things that we make around here. So if you liked it, don't forget to check out some of our other vids and hit that subscribe button.